Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be to you right now.
So good morning, Ms. Bina.
Good morning.
So everyone, welcome to the Scoop It podcast. I am Smita and you are listening to the Scoop It podcast. And today with us, we have Ms. Bina. Kia ora, Ms. Bina.
Kia ora.
Did I spell it right?
Yes.
So, talking about Ms. Bina has studied in New Era School, Mumbai, and has done her Masters of Education from Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand. She has an experience of 24 years as a teacher and 15 years as a facilitator and consultant. Ms. Bina's expertise and interest lies in mathematics education. She has considerable experience in co-constructing with school professionals development solutions that are soundly based on current research and evidence that supports the core principles of the New Zealand curriculum. As a mathematics consultant, her roles in schools is to support leaders to build and sustain professional learning communities that enables teachers to grow their capability. Ms. Bina has presented at several conferences and symposia in New Zealand and Australia. Ms. Bina believes in flexible grouping to enhance mathematical learning in classrooms. In 2021, her paper, Making Maths Accessible to All Students, Effective Pedagogy, was published in the Journal of Higher Education, Theory and Practice. Then, delivering professional development in schools, Ms. Bina explores teacher beliefs about education, outlines norms to create a conducive classroom and climate for learning, explores the notion of orchestrating classroom discussions, and encourages teachers to design challenging, low-floor, high-ceiling tasks that allows access for all students. So, Ms. Bina, how did you decide to work on a subject called mathematics, which is considered really tough when it comes to students? We would like to know about this more from you.
Well, thank you, Smita. Very kind of you to introduce me. It was a really, really lengthy introduction, but thank you for introducing me. Mathematics is a subject I think we need to really, really think about as a subject that is learned or we see it almost all the time. Maths is all around us. And I do agree with you that most of the teachers and students or even parents find it quite they feel it little scared or they're afraid of mathematics. And I think I have always had passion to be a mathematician, or I really didn't become a mathematician, but I always thought that mathematics is really beautiful subject and you need to really understand that. And I started understanding much more of mathematics when I actually started teaching. So having that interaction with students actually allow you to go deeper into what actually mathematics is all about.
Thank you, Ms. Bina. We are really happy to have you today with us. This session is really going to be very productive. So moving on towards the Q&A session, first of all, I would like to enlighten our viewers about the theme we are going to discuss today. The theme is, how do simple stories enhance mathematical learning and visualization among children? I think this is a much needed topic that everyone must know about. So moving on towards the first question, Veena. All kids develop differently. Some pick up math skills and learn how to estimate with just a bit of teaching, while others need extra attention and practice. Apart from this, there are some kids who continue to struggle even after practicing and teaching. Through this, what can we infer? Is maths a skill or a talent?
A very nice question. Thank you. First of all, let us understand what is a talent. So when you think about talent, we generally connect ourselves with the natural aptitude for any subject. So if you have talent in mathematics, then you think that you have naturally adapted to mathematical skills and things like that. And skill, when you talk about, is the ability to do something well. When you think about mathematics, and if you look at the research that is talking about what is mathematics and who is a mathematician, we need to also think about that mathematics is not an innate or aptitude that is that you develop through birth. It is a skill that I think we as teachers need to allow the kids to develop with our nurturing. And what is important through research, we know that a growth mindset is very important. There are researchers like Carol Dweck and Joe Bowler, and they are talking about that there is nobody who's a mathematician. There is no math person, to be very honest. Everybody can achieve mathematics at a higher level if they are given an environment and a climate to work in. So it is very important that we as teachers learn about what a growth mindset is all about. How do we nurture those beliefs, give that math identity to kids, that I'm a mathematician. Generally what I like to do with the young kids when in the primary classrooms is we talk about what are you good at? And kids said, I'm a good dancer, I'm a good rugby player, I'm a good reader. And we also ask them to write a little sentence that I am a mathematician. So people, they need to develop that identity that I am a math person. So when you're talking about some kids struggle and some kids find it difficult and some kids just get it like that, I do agree with that. But those who are struggling can also achieve by developing that community of learners in the classroom. As you introduced myself, we said that we don't believe in de-streaming in the sense that all my classroom kids are, for me, are the same understanding. They're all mathematicians. So I don't teach math. I teach mathematicians who are in front of me. So my kids help each other. If one is struggling, they work as a team and they develop that mathematical environment where everyone learns and there is nobody and struggle is a great thing.
Yeah.
We think it's a productive struggle. So once they realize that I'm struggling, but I can easily do it afterwards when I put in hard work. I tell you what happened in one of my classrooms, that when I went and after the lesson was over, I asked them, what did you learn today? And one of the kids in the classroom, who is probably, I would say 7, 8 years old. And he said, you know what I learned today? I learned that I can make mistakes and I can fix them too. So if they have that kind of confidence that we can make mistakes and we can learn from our mistakes, I don't think we have such kind of difficulties, but that requires a huge environment. And then we teachers need to believe in growth mindset as well.
Yeah. I think the attitude matters a lot when it comes to mathematics.
And attitude not amongst the students, amongst the teachers as well. So we need to develop that attitude that everyone in my class can learn and they can. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Bina. Bina, everyone knows that several students dislike mathematics. And for us normal students, such dislike is quite normal. But we have come across a number of cases where this dislike has turned into hatred or fear with severe bouts of anxiety. Through your experience, why do you think that students dislike mathematics or turn to hate mathematics later?
Very true. Mathematicians, students, I would say teachers, even parents are afraid of mathematics. Why are they afraid? Because I think the way the system has been teaching mathematics. Mathematics is considered as a performing subject and not as a learning subject. There are always ticks and crosses. And who would like to have crosses? It's really, very, very alarming to have that process of anxiety starting from day one in the school, where people think that I'm not good at this because I'm not able to answer. Think about when a child learns walking, when he tries to walk, he falls about 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, but he doesn't give up because we keep encouraging, oh, wow, you took 1 step today. And next time he will take 2 steps or 3 steps because he's encouraged all the time that mistakes are okay. You can fall down, but you can still lift up yourself and start walking again. When it comes to mathematics, when we always want the answers to be correct, why did you get 1 wrong? Why did you get 5 wrong? That is the question that is being asked. to the students? Or why did you get everything wrong? And they feel that being wrong is not good. Whereas we know through experience that mistakes are stepping stones to your learning. So, if as teachers or as parents, to be very honest, if we consider that we can allow the kids to make mistakes and celebrate mistakes, and that's what we do in our classrooms. I talk to all the teachers, and we need to think about that. How do we celebrate mistakes? So, when the kids are doing the problem, and if one person has made a mistake, I would say, let us now understand what is this happening in the classroom, or what have you done which could be a mistake for so many people. Let us celebrate this and try to figure out how do we help you to get rid of that. And the kids really enjoy it because they are all working together as a team, and they realize that mistakes are okay. I can make mistakes, and then the anxiety level goes down. Another thing is the testing. We generally judge the kids according to what they perform in a test. We are not looking at day to day how well my child is doing, but we are only concentrating on one point in time where the child may not be very good, or he must have had a fight with somebody who's in the classroom and doing a test, or suddenly he's not feeling too well, or maybe one problem he doesn't understand, but he understands quite a few others, but he's stuck with the first problem and he can't go forward. What happens to that child? He loses the confidence. And once the confidence is lost, everything is gone. So, what is important, especially when the kids are young, we should be giving them the opportunity to learn while they are learning every day, not at one point in time where the test results are going to make you a mathematician or not, or they are going to fail you, or they are going to consider as a pass. What is my child doing in everyday circumstances? And that is what is the most important thing for learning. So it's not a performing subject. We don't want to perform. We want to learn mathematics. If that is the concept that we all have about education, I don't think the kids would have any kind of anxiety.
Yeah, very right. I believe in this. I truly believe in this concept of, making mistakes and then, recovering for those mistakes. It is mostly seen that we are not allowed to make mistakes, and that is all the fear.
That is right. Who allows them? I mean, how do we? So they are always trying to feel that, oh, my teacher is going to like this, or my teacher is not going to like this. They're not learning for themselves. They're just wanting to learn to either please parents or please their teachers. So we need to think about that. How are you going to learn for yourself? Okay.
So moving on towards the next question, Bina. Everyone knows stories are the most best and entertaining way of educating the children about the world around them. And maths is really a very beautiful subject, and its beauty can be best understood when one loves it. How can teachers, play a role so that the students create a love for mathematics? And how can stories be incorporated in a mathematics classroom?
Thank you. That's a wonderful question, because I really am passionate about making the context for any mathematical concept that needs to be learned. So I'll tell you that simple short stories and delightful illustrations will develop love for mathematics at a younger age. We want students to develop lifelong learning, relationship with numbers, a relationship with mathematics. We always think about numbers are not isolated. They are very much as part of our day-to-day work or day-to-day living, because everything, you leave the house at what time, how much time will you take to reach the school, or how fast is your car moving, or everything is maths, because it's all numbers that we're talking about. So if that is the way we look at mathematics and not as a isolated subject, then it might be helpful. So stories are really nice, and we want to make it fun and meaningful. So mathematics is not learned always in isolation, as I said, and maths learning needs context. So let me give you an example. Supposing you're talking about, or in a classroom, we are looking at coral reef as a topic, that, okay, how many marine animals are there and what are they doing? What are these coral reefs all about? We can develop a math problem related to that. And I'm going to read a little story that I have developed for my grandkids because they were
Okay.
learning about coral reef. Yeah. And I thought that, oh, and these are young kids. She's about 5 years old, and the other one is much younger. But, at that age also, kids are very interested in learning math, but it shouldn't look like math. It should look like fun story. So can I just read a lovely story for you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And the story is called Fun with Snorkeling. So we are talking that when the kids have been learning about where are the coral reefs, where are they situated, how deep are they, what kind of fish and everything is going around, and we weave in math along with it, and that's how I developed that story. So the story goes like that. It was nearly summer holiday for Alia and Darian. Alia and Darian are my grandkids. Papa, Alia said, where shall we go for this summer holidays? How about going to the coral reef? Papa asked. Yay! Darian and Alia shouted spontaneously. Have you ever snorkeled around a coral reef? Darian asked Mama. Yes, Darian. First, you wear a mask with a long tube to breathe with. A boat will take us to the coral reef. Once we get there, we will slip into the water from the boat. And I would actually show them what does it look like when you wear a snorkel, with a long tube and the glasses, and that's what people wear when they. Darian and Alia, with their parents, were in the water already. Suddenly, they were in a different world. The light in the water looked bluish and green. The gentle waves swayed, and the feeling was enchanting. Alia got excited. Alia got excited. Right before her eyes, she saw a school of yellow and black striped fish. She started counting. She counted 4 black and yellow striped fish. They were moving around in the coral reef. And Darian looked around and he saw 3 fish. Darian asked Alia, Alia, can you count all the fish together? How many fish are there that we can see? And Alia started counting. How many fish do you think Alia could count? And I would put a question mark for them. And the kids need to think about how many kids are there all together. When a teacher, I'll come back to my story a little later, but what I'm trying to talk about here is when the kids are developing the mathematical understanding, the basic mathematical understanding of counting these numbers, it is very important for the kids to have these equipment with them. Actually, when I'm talking about the story, the kids can put these fish on their little coral reef. So then they are doing it. So doing is actually allowing them to learn mathematics. So what I would actually ask them to think about that when they're counting, Alia would start counting as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. Okay. And they would say there are 7 fish all together. Also, I would think about that. How do you see that 7 in different ways? This is called tens frame, and we use it in New Zealand all the time. So I told Alia that can we put our fish on a tens frame, and how does it look like? So when say 1, and she starts counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7. So now there are 7 fish all together. Alia saw 4 fish and Darian saw 3 fish, and they're all 7 fish all together. This is a structured subitizing, which allows them to see if this is a pattern, then it is 7. And there are 3 more to make 10. And I can always ask, how many more fish do you need to make 10? Because 7 and what would make 10? And then all the mathematical concepts can be woven alongside. This is a very simple story, But for the children who are just starting the basics, would start developing what is seven? What is seven altogether? How do I make seven in variety of ways? And things that we can allow the kids to have that relationship with the number and its context. And I can, of course, go further in saying that suddenly 10 more fish arrived for the kids who are a little older, or 20 more fish arrived. And they can have to think about 20 and 7, how many are all together? And then we can always say that out of 27 fish that are there, 9 suddenly disappeared. So it depends upon what level of thinking is going on in the kids. For the older kids, I can develop that story and make it a little more complicated by putting different numbers into it. And I can also add some more fish to it, or some seahorses. Suddenly 5 seahorses came in, and 10 more seahorses. So how many marine animals altogether? And that would make the numbers complicated, but at the same time, it's quite interesting for the kids to play around with these equipment and learn from that. And suddenly my story finishes and says, wow, Alia said, I'm so happy to see these lovely marine animals in this coral reef. Thank you, Papa, for taking us to the coral reef. We really enjoyed our day today. Along with that, I would also think about, or maybe we can continue. Okay, you can ask me another question. Sorry.
You can speak about if you want to.
Okay, so what I was talking about, I was actually going to weave in the next little context about linguistic skills.
Yeah,
that I was
sure.
talking about. Okay.
When it comes to stories, we cannot deny the importance of language there.
Exactly, and how important it is for language to be developed with the kids. So mathematics language is quite important, because it's always not the same language that we use in day-to-day life. Like when we talk about fractions, you say a third or a fourth or a quarter, and that makes it a little difficult unless we realize what a quarter is. And if you look at behind me, we have these fraction circles, which actually talk about how do you visualize that math concepts or math circles. So equipment is very important alongside our language skills that we want to develop. So when you talk about language skills, I'm going to even talk about that the pedagogy that we want to use in the classroom is giving the kids chance to talk. So in a classroom, my theory is, and it is based on quite a lot of research, that 80% of the talk is done by the students, and 20% of the talk in the classroom should be done by teachers. So that is how if mathematics classroom works, or any other classroom, I would say learning has to be student oriented, in the sense that they should take the agent. They are the agents of learners, and they should take the agency of learning rather than teacher dictating what to learn and what not to learn. But I was thinking about a very simple problem, not simple, I would say quite an interesting problem, where these are year 9 and 10 years. So 9 and 10-year-old students. So standard 3 or standard 4, depends on where they are. Yeah. So the problem is Radhika and her 7 friends want to watch a netball game. So when I say Radhika and 7 friends, the kids need to think about how many kids are we talking about. Okay. She had 13 chocolate bars with her. They all wanted to share that chocolate bars evenly amongst them. How many was each person's share? Now, if that is a problem asked, I'm not actually asking. So the problem is Radhika is there, and there's 7 friends. Okay. And the kids need to think about how many people are we looking at all together. And there are 13 chocolate bars. So most of the time, what happens is that teachers do not give a problem that is a word problem or a story problem. They give the students to solve 13 divided by 8. Okay. And the kids would start working on it. But given a problem like this, they have to think about that what are they actually doing? I wouldn't even tell them it's a division problem. They have to work it out. So what way does it work in my classroom is this, that there are 13 chocolate bars. So I give them 13 chocolate bars to each person. Okay. Now there are 13 chocolate bars and students need to work it out. How are they going to work out these 13 chocolate bars? So some of them would do one chocolate bar for each, and then they would have 8 chocolate bars gone because there are 8 people, and that is another discussion. Some of them would say, oh, we need to share among 7 people, and then other children would say, oh no, why should Radhika be left out? Radhika should be part of that. So there are 8 of us should share the chocolate. And then they would think about sharing the chocolate. So 8 chocolate bars are gone, and there are 5 chocolate bars remaining, and they would say, okay, each other person gets half of the chocolate bars, and they would fold it, and then the last chocolate bar that is left, they would make it into the 8s, and they would share 1/8 of it. That is one way, one group of kids would do that. And they probably would think about, okay, I had one chocolate bar, a half a chocolate bar, and this is 1/8 of a chocolate bar. Some kids actually drew that, and they had 8 all the chocolate bars, and they made it into 8 parts. And they got 104 8s. And then they realized if they have 104 8s, each person would get 13 8s, or they would write 13 8s that way. And those who were very quick at solving the problems, they said, we know it's 13 divided by 8, and that is 1 5/8. They got the answer very quickly. So when I went to these people, there were 3 of them in my classroom out of 14, they were in front of me. 3 of them solved it like that. Some of them were cutting and finding out, how am I going to cut, and how am I going to make those pieces? And some people was drawing the way people are drawing here. I asked them, can I have my share, these people? And they said, I know it's 1, but we don't know what 5/8 look like. Okay, because they could not visualize what 5/8 mean. And that is exactly what I mean when I say that children need to actually visualize what 5/8 look like. So what I would actually do is I would put them in groups of 3, and they start talking about their ways of solving a problem, and they share their ideas with each other. So this is where we develop a community of learners. So they share their ideas, they develop their understanding. So those who are very quick at getting 1 5/8, they learned from somebody else that, oh, I can draw that as well. And now I understand what 8s are. And some of them would say, they have been cutting the chocolate bars, and let's see what are they coming out with the answer. So this is where the kids are thinking in their ways, not the way teacher wants them to think. Can you see the difference what I'm talking about? That the kids come out with their ways of thinking. And what happened at the end was I asked the kids to share, and those who are making that kind of cutting the chocolate bars, they came in front, and they are quite used to sharing their ideas because they've been trained to do that. So they came in front, and they said, this particular class, I know we have 1 chocolate bar, half a chocolate bar for each person, and 1/8 of a chocolate bar for each person. But we don't know how to add the half and the 1/8. Okay. And one child from the audience, who was audience of other kids who had already solved in different ways, he says, but 1/2 is the same as 4/8. And suddenly there was a aha moment in those kids who were standing and sharing, and they said, oh my God, now we know it. 4/8 and 1/8 would make 5/8. So each person would they came out with each person would get 1 and 5/8. So that was their answer. And these people who came out with 13/8, they also realized, they started discussing they came and shared with the others, and they said, we got 13/8. And they all discussed together. So they are children discussing, and teacher is just asking and listening questions, listening to their thinking. And they realized that 13 eights have 8 eights in there plus 5 eights. That would make 13 eights. And then realize, oh, 8 means one whole chocolate bar plus 5 eights. And they all got the similar answers, but in a different way. Those kids who got it but could not understand what 5 eighths look like, actually all 3 of them came and said, today we really understood what fraction 5 eighths mean. And that is the power of language and equipment that we use together. That if we give them the chance to understand what the problem is, they have the equipment that, okay, these are the chocolate bars. And if I can share those chocolate bars, how do I cut them? How do I feel them? And then they come out with the idea as 1/8. They will not forget the whole understanding of that, what problem is. So linguistic skills, the context of the problem, the stories for the little ones with the context is all this is all what is makes math makes it's beautiful, you know. And then do you think the kids are going to be afraid of maths?
Definitely not. So moving on towards the next question, Ms. Bina, the story was really wonderful. So we have to move on, or else, if you listen to these stories, the day won't end. These are really very interesting. So, Ms. Bina, we know we are living in a technological world with the advent of the internet and the rise of the EdTech companies. Storytelling in the classroom has been entirely replaced by the technological visualizations. So you are a part of the classroom and you know it better. Which one do you think is, really efficient in a mathematical classroom?
Smita, I think it's very important today to think about that education, EdTech technology is quite important, especially in the time of lockdowns. And the reality today with COVID, it has been important that the teachers do have the knowledge. But, and I know that there are so many different, what do you call it, applications are there available for the kids to work on it. But in reality, I don't think anything can replace teaching or teacher in the classroom. I would say there is place for everything, but teacher is very important in the classroom. So technology I would definitely use, but as a community of learners. So if I have any kind of application or any app that the kids are working on, I would allow them to work as a team, not independently. They are not just putting the numbers or playing games, because mathematics is a subject that requires communication. And the way we enhance mathematical understanding is through maybe technology, maybe equipment, maybe representations, maybe drawing, but the kids need to have communication. They need to be able to talk about what they are doing and what they are not. I will share one of the little idea with you. And it says, we remember, or these are the kids talking. It says, we remember 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of we see and hear, 70% of what we discuss with others, 80% of what we experience personally. That means manipulative working with equipment, and 90% of what we teach someone else. So when we think about if learning has to happen very efficiently in the class, we need to have children helping each other, learning from each other, discussing lots of ideas, whether it is through technology or through teacher in the classroom. But if it is used efficiently in either way, I think kids will really learn very well.
Thank you, Bina. So moving on towards the next question. Maths in STEM education is, very, very important. But it is really challenging to get students' engagement as well. So everyone knows the idea of STEM education is to, encourage and highlight the importance of the sciences, the technology, the engineering, the arts, and the mathematics. The highlight their importance and encourage the integrated form of study of all these aspects. So according to you, what is STEM education and what is the importance of mathematics? And how can we view mathematics in a wider STEM context?
For any experimentation to take place, supposing we are looking at technology, or in New Zealand we have technology classes. That means year, say, standard 7 and standard 8 kids go to do maybe different activities. Maybe in India also we have that. Some go for sewing and some go for technology, making cardboard boxes or making wooden boxes and things like that. So when you talk about STEM, we call it even STEAM, because
Yeah.
we put A inside, and that is art. Okay, so we're looking at science, and we're looking at technology, we're looking at um, um, mathematics, we are looking at art, and all those things, engineering, and everything together. But if you are cooking, if you are making a cardboard box, if you are developing a science experiment, can maths be away from that? No. But we need to actually highlight that if I'm making a box, I need to measure it. I need to measure how long it is, how wide it is, how much am I going to cut it. Or if I'm cooking, what is the equipment that I'm going to use? There's liters, and we talk about what is a measurement scales, or how many measurement of cups that I'm going to use. So I think it's very important that we consider STEAM as a composite thing and not consider maths or science or technology as a separate component, but everything together mixed, because nothing can be separated from one another. I would say that even if I'm talking about any topic that I'm teaching, we're talking about, say, volcano eruption. We're also talking about how high the ashes have gone, how far has the earthquake, supposing it's connected with the earthquake, then how far did the earthquake, where was the epicenter of the earthquake? And all those concepts are together. There's science behind it, but there's a math as well. So math cannot be part of that. It has to be coincided or connected together.
Yeah.
We can probably stop here.
Yeah. So moving on towards the last question, but I think this question is really going to be very important for all the maths lovers out there. So according to the, Mathematical Association of America, the mathematical professions, are becoming really attractive these days. In fact, the profession of the actuary, the mathematician, and the statisticians, they are really lucrative in terms of salary opportunities or growth opportunities. But not a lot of people know about the, growth opportunities or career paths that are available when it comes to the mathematics field. So, what are the more career options that are available for maths lovers?
What can you think about as a opportunity or success? Math lovers can have so many variety of opportunities, or if you say vocational guidance given to them. Every aspect of learning requires mathematics. But if you want to be a really good mathematician, then you have to go into pure mathematics and look at all the aspects of mathematics in a pure way. But or if you want to go for research, then a statistician has to really, really go into the pure statistics part of it. But other subjects, like if you want to talk about accounting, or if you talk about teaching, or if you talk about any other vocation, like if you're a car dealer, if you're a businessman, every part of their life depends on some part of the some mathematics or the other. Pure mathematics has little scope, but majority of aspects, like even if supposing I consider myself as a housewife, wouldn't she be understanding what a budget is all about? How do I use my money? What way do I invest? What do I need to do? And so mathematics, I think, is part of everything. So give an opportunity for the kids to think about mathematics from the very, and developing that love for mathematics is important. So if we can develop love for mathematics, I think sky is the limit. They can achieve any level, because everything is required. Mathematics is required. Any guide, yeah, any job.
Thank you, Ms. Bina. Now we have come to the end of today's podcast. Thank you so much for being with us. Would you like to give some ending remark or add on something?
I just want to thank you for this podcast. I think it's really important for us to talk to people or engage with audience like um, parents, kids, other educators, and think about what are the different ways mathematics is being taught in variety of places in the world. I think maths is the same. It's a universal subject. And most of the places, as you said, or most of the countries, teachers and students and parents are not very happy learning and teaching mathematics. What can we do about it? So we need to have a conversation about how can we make it math, how can we make math as a beautiful subject, not a performing subject, a learning subject, and develop a positive climate for learning, which will allow everyone to succeed in learning mathematics today.
Definitely, Ms. Bina. So now, thank you so much. I would like to thank you again for being with us, sharing your experience, sharing your opinions with us. This podcast, I know, is going to be very, very important for all the maths lovers out there who want to be a part of the world of mathematics. Lastly, I would like to thank our viewers for tuning in. Stay tuned for more such informative podcasts on Scooped Solutions. Thank you.
Let us know your thoughts on the video in the comments section and keep tabs on us for more interesting videos.